Imagine for a second that you are the most wanted man on Earth. You were sitting in a small hotel room in Hong Kong. You haven't left in days. You've lined the door frame with pillows to stop anyone from eavesdropping. When you type your password, you cover your hands with a red blanket, just in case a hidden camera is watching your keystrokes. You aren't a spy. You aren't a soldier. You're a 29-year-old systems administrator, a guy who fixes computers. But in your backpack, on 4 tiny laptops, you are carrying the most dangerous secrets in the history of the United States. Secrets that prove the government isn't just watching terrorists. They are watching you. This is the story of the greatest intelligence heist of the 21st century. We grow up thinking that privacy is a right, that when you send a text to your wife, or email your doctor, or search for something embarrassing on Google, that information is private. It stays between you and the screen. But in 2013, one man shattered that illusion. Edward Snowden didn't just leak a few documents. He didn't just expose a corrupt politician. He revealed a global architecture of oppression. A machine, built in secret, designed to suck up the communications of every single human being. The government called him a traitor. The public called him a hero. But the story of how he did it, stranger than fiction. How does a high school dropout, working for a subcontractor, walk out of the most secure intelligence agency in the world with the crown jewels of the NSA? Today, we are going deep into the underworld of mass surveillance. We are going to break down exactly what Snowden found, how he stole it, and why the world has never been the same since. This is the untold story of the man who killed privacy to save it. To understand the leak, you have to understand the man. Edward Snowden wasn't a radical. In fact, he was a patriot. He came from a family of bureaucrats and military men. In 2004, he enlisted in the Army Reserve. He wanted to fight in Iraq. He wanted to free the oppressed. But after breaking both his legs in training, he found a different way to serve. Computers. Snowden was brilliant, a natural talent. He didn't need a college degree to understand systems. The CIA picked him up. By 2007, he was stationed in Geneva under diplomatic cover. And this is where the cracks began to form. He saw how intelligence actually worked. It wasn't James Bond. It was dirty. He watched CIA operatives get a Swiss banker drunk, encourage him to drive home, and when he got arrested for DUI, they used that leverage to recruit him. Snowden was disillusioned. He thought intelligence was about protecting the innocent. Instead, he saw a machine that corrupted everything it touched. By 2012, Snowden was working for the NSA as a contractor for Booz Allen Hamilton. He was stationed in Hawaii. Paradise outside, but inside the tunnel, an underground facility where the NSA worked, he was staring into the abyss. His job? Systems administrator. Now that sounds boring, right? Like the guy who resets your password when you forget it. But in the intelligence world, the systems admin is God. Spies have need-to-know access. They only see their specific targets. But the guy who maintains the network, he sees everything. He has the keys to the kingdom. And as Snowden sat there, maintaining the network, he started to see the truth. He watched James Clapper, the Director of National Intelligence, lie to Congress. When asked if the NSA collects data on millions of Americans, Clapper said,
It does not.
"No, sir, not wittingly."
Not wittingly.
Snowden was watching this on TV while sitting at a terminal where he could see the data rolling in. He knew it was a lie. He knew the government was building a turnkey tyranny. He later said, "I realized that I was part of something doing far more harm than good." He had a choice. Stay silent, collect his $200,000 salary, live in paradise with his girlfriend, let the machine grow, or throw his entire life away, burn it all down, to tell the truth. He decided to burn it down. So what exactly did he find? What was so terrifying that he was willing to risk execution to reveal it? He found the machine. The NSA wasn't just looking for needles in a haystack. They were collecting the whole haystack. First, there was PRISM. This was the program that terrified the tech world. PRISM allowed the NSA to collect data directly from the servers of 9 major U.S. internet companies: Microsoft, Yahoo, Google, Facebook, Apple. They didn't need a warrant for every person. They just needed a target. If you were a foreigner, or if you were simply communicating with someone outside the U.S., your emails, your photos, your video chats were fair game. But it gets worse. Snowden found a tool called XKeyscore. Think of XKeyscore as Google for spies. But instead of searching the public web, it searches your private life. Snowden famously said, "I, sitting at my desk, had the authorities to wiretap anyone, from you or your accountant to a federal judge, or even the president if I had a personal email. No warrants, no judges, just a drop-down menu. If an analyst wanted to see what you were doing, they could just type in your email or your IP address and watch your internet traffic in real time. They could see nearly everything a typical user does on the internet." One of the most disturbing revelations? A program called optic nerve. The British GCHQ, working with the NSA, intercepted webcam images from millions of Yahoo users. They weren't looking for terrorists. They were just collecting. And because people often use webcams for intimate moments, the agency ended up with a massive database of sexually explicit images of ordinary people, people who had done nothing wrong. They called this philosophy "collect it all." They were building a permanent record of human life. Every mistake you've ever made, every joke, every flirtation, stored forever, just in case they need to use it against you later. Snowden realized that this infrastructure, once built, could never be turned off. If a bad leader took power, they would have total control over the population, instantly. He knew he couldn't just talk about it. No one would believe him. He needed proof. This is where the story turns into a spy thriller. Snowden is in Hawaii. He is working inside the tunnel. The security is incredibly tight. You can't just walk out with a stack of papers. There are guards. There are metal detectors. There are USB blockers on the computers. So how did he do it? He started downloading documents, thousands of them. He had to be careful. If he downloaded too much too fast, an automated system would flag him. So he did it slowly, methodically. He utilized a web crawler, an automated script, to scrape the internal networks while he was doing his regular work. He moved the files onto tiny micro SD cards. Now there is a bit of a myth here. You might have seen the movie where he hides the SD card inside a Rubik's Cube to get it past security. Whether he literally used the cube or simply put the card in his sock, the Rubik's Cube became a symbol. He used to carry one around the office constantly. It was his totem. It made him look like the harmless, nerdy tech guy. Oh, that's just Ed, playing with his toy. Every day he walked out of that facility carrying the secrets of the empire. If a guard had stopped him, if they had checked his pockets, it would have been over. Life in prison. Maybe worse. But nobody stopped him. Because he was the guy who fixed things. He was the guy you trusted. By May 2013, he had everything he needed. He told his boss he needed medical leave for epilepsy. He told his girlfriend Lindsay that he had to go away for work for a few weeks. He couldn't tell her the truth. If she knew, she would be an accomplice. He packed a small suitcase. He took his 4 laptops. And on May 20th, he boarded a flight to Hong Kong. He chose Hong Kong because he thought they had a strong framework of free speech, and they might resist U.S. pressure. When he landed, he checked into the Mira Hotel, and he waited. He had contacted Glenn Greenwald, a journalist known for being fearless, and Laura Poitras, a documentary filmmaker. He sent them encrypted messages signed simply as Citizen 4. When they finally met in that hotel room, Snowden was a nervous wreck. He was pale. He was eating barely anything. He watched the door constantly. He handed them the drives, and he said, "I don't want to hide my face. I want the focus to be on the documents, not me." But he knew, once the story broke, his life was over. And finally, on June 5th, 2013, the first bomb dropped. The Guardian published a top-secret court order showing the NSA was collecting phone records of millions of Verizon customers. Then came PRISM. Then XKeyscore. The U.S. government went into full panic mode. They launched a massive manhunt. Snowden watched it all from his hotel TV. He knew it was time to run. The U.S. government revoked his passport. They wanted him in a supermax prison. He needed to get to Latin America. Ecuador had offered asylum. But to get there, he had to fly through Russia. He boarded an Aeroflot flight to Moscow. But when he landed at Sheremetyevo Airport, the trap snapped shut. The U.S. government had canceled his passport mid-flight. He was stranded. He couldn't enter Russia, and he couldn't leave. He spent 40 days living in the transit zone of the airport, sleeping on a bench. No shower. Just waiting. Snowden never intended to live in Russia. He was trapped there. But outside that airport, the world was changing. Because of Snowden, the internet companies were forced to encrypt their data. WhatsApp turned on end-to-end encryption. Apple locked down the iPhone. Before Snowden, less than half of web traffic was encrypted. Today, it's over 90%. He didn't stop the NSA. They're still there. They're still powerful. But he made them work for it. He forced the conversation. He proved that the conspiracy theories were actually true. Edward Snowden is still in Russia. He lives there with his wife Lindsay, the girl he left behind in Hawaii, who eventually joined him, and their 2 sons. He is a man without a country. Some people still call him a traitor. They say he endangered agents, though the government has never offered proof that a single individual was physically harmed by his leaks. Others call him a hero, a whistleblower who sacrificed his freedom to show us the cage we were living in. But the real question isn't about Snowden. It's about us. We know they are watching. We know the device in your pocket is a tracking beacon. We know your smart TV listens to your conversations. And yet, we scroll. We click. We accept the terms and conditions. Snowden showed us the door, but he couldn't force us to walk through it. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And in the digital age, vigilance means knowing who holds your data. Because as Snowden warned us, arguing that you don't care about the right to privacy because you have nothing to hide is no different than saying you don't care about free speech because you have nothing to say. If you want to know more about the dark world of intelligence and the people who fight back, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm find more people like you. And don't forget to subscribe. We are just getting started.